Good morning, everybody. My name is John Skees, and I'm the Director of Media for TAPS. We're going to get started with this webinar in just a couple of minutes, but first I got some housekeeping issues to address. First and foremost, this webinar is being recorded. You're going to receive an email with a link to that recording as soon as it is ready. That will be sometime later this afternoon. Second, if you have any questions, please use the questions feature in the GoToWebinar interface. You see a little drop-down menu that says questions. We're going to try to answer those as we go through the presentation, but if we don't get to yours right away, there is a general Q&A session at the end where we will catch up on anything that we missed and you can ask more questions. If we don't get to your question today, or if it's just too specific to answer appropriately in this venue, please send us an email, info@taps.biz, or call us at the office after the webinar is over. So today, I'm joined by Brian Bunselmeyer, the TAPS Executive Director, Robert Huckabee, TAPS Associate Director and Director of Compliance, Steve Prudhomme, TAPS Associate Director, and Vina Williams, our Director of Fine Arts. We've also got Will Dixon from the TAPS office, who's helping us out behind the keyboard today, and we're joined by Rhonda Smith from the TAPS office and Roger Bemis, who will be helping us out at the championship. You'll hear from them a little bit later on. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brian to get us started. Brian?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us here. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're prepared as we move forward to the championships. We want to thank you during this COVID year for participating in TAPS 1 Act Play. I know it hasn't been the easiest of situations to work through. Very proud of each of you for making it this far. Congratulations for earning your way to the TAPS 1 Act Play Championships for 2020. As we go through the webinar again, we ask that if questions arise, please go ahead and ask them. This is being recorded, so those answers will be available to those that watch later. You will also receive that recording if there's any answers that we can get for you up front. We surely want to do that. Our goal with this webinar is to make your transition from district to state as easy as possible and to help you move forward with as few hurdles in your way. So again, thank you for your participation in 1 Act Play 2020.
All right, thank you, Brian. We'll go down the roll call of all of our schools. Congratulations who qualified for our 1 Act Play State Championship. Our Division I championships will be held on Friday and Saturday, November 13 and 14. On Friday, November 13, our schools that will be there preparing and performing will be Houston Lutheran South, Midland Christian, San Antonio St. Anthony, and San Antonio Antonian. So that'll be our Division I lineup on Friday. And then the next day on Saturday, we'll have the Brook Hill School from Bullard. We'll have Tyler Grace, Houston Second Baptist, and Fort Worth Nolan. So that'll be our lineup for Friday and Saturday for Division I. Then as we move to Division II, that'll be on Wednesday and Thursday, November 11 and 12. And on Wednesday the 11th, we'll have Flower Mound Cormdeo, Austin Veritas, Arlington Pantego, and Dallas Christian. That'll be our Wednesday lineup on November 11th. Then the next day on the 12th, we'll get Tomball Rose Hill, the Woodlands Christian, Waco Vanguard, and Dallas Covenant. So that'll be our Division II lineup for our state competition. Moving on to Division III, that will be held on Monday and Tuesday, November 16 and 17. On Monday the 16th, we'll have Ovilla Christian, Lubbock All Saints, Longview Christian Heritage, and Bryan Brazos. That'll be our Monday lineup on the 16th. And then on Tuesday the 17th, we'll close it out with Lubbock Kingdom Prep, Round Rock Concordia, Prestonwood North, and Temple Holy Trinity. Congratulations to all of our schools in all divisions. Like Brian mentioned, appreciate all the efforts in working through your district competitions, and congratulations to all those that will be in Kerrville for our championships. Steve, visit with us briefly about Spectator and Fan Information.
Well, Spectator and Fan Information will be coming out later today in the email. Please give this out to all of those who are following your organization and following your group, but also especially those who plan to attend the performances. The 1 Act page, 1 Act Play page on www.taps.biz will be updated with the blog as the competition nears and as we proceed forward. And any additional information will be emailed out and also posted on this web page. So directors, look for an email as we approach this big event. Now moving on to those who will be attending. We have hotel information. Red Pin Travel, who's a partner of TAPS, has some room blocks there, and you have links to that on the web page and also through your TAPS fan app, which we'll be talking about throughout the day. And also, if you're going to be attending in person, ticket information is very important. Those who are attending must buy a ticket in advance, and that needs to be through hometown ticketing. This will not only take care of assuring you that you have a place there, but also getting the COVID requirements that we're going to need and give us the database that we're going to need. So if you are attending as a fan, now the students and staff that are part of the program do not need to buy a ticket. Okay, again, if you are part of the group, if you're the staff or you're a student, you are going to be part of the director will attest for your COVID requirements. But again, if you're not, make sure you buy that ticket in advance, and we will have you seated in special sections by school.
Steve, as a recap there, we will have enough spectator. We're going to be at the 50% capacity. We feel confident that we will have enough seating for those that wish to come. We're going to jump to the TAPS website real quick, www.taps.biz. If you click on the calendar page, Will's getting us there, click on the calendar, and the big buttons at the top, book your hotels and purchase your tickets, are right there. It'll also be in the fan information email, which is posted on the One Act Play page, and will also be emailed to all of our directors later this afternoon. Back to our presentation, Will.
All right, Will. We will be at the Callow Theater again in Kerrville. Again, 910 Main Street, Kerrville, Texas, 76028. Beautiful facility. And again, this has been a tradition. It's been very special to us. Moving on, Will. And if you can't be there, or if you're around, you need to make sure you connect with the media. TAPS has TAPS TV network. We'll be live streaming all the performances that we're able to. Again, if we had the permission, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You also have Twitter at TAPS OAP, Facebook taps.biz, and you also have the One Act Play page on the TAPS website. And again, we're going to keep hitting it there. The TAPS fan app is pretty awesome. It gets you to all the places you need, and download that to your Apple or your Android phone. And now moving on.
All right, we're going to be starting. This is Rhonda. I'm glad to join you today. I'll be joining you down in Kerrville, so we'll be looking forward to that. But we're going to talk about your daily schedules. If you'll please make sure that you find your load time, because that will actually be the start of the 15 minutes you have to get all of your set and everything that you need off of your truck and trailer and onto the stage, because then we will be starting your performance on time. And then you'll notice on there that if you were the 7:30 group going, you're going to have your 15 minutes to load, then you have your time to rehearse, and you have until 8:45 to be off the stage and cleaned off. So just make sure that you are very aware of your load times and when you need to be off the stage.
Hey guys, I'm looking forward to viewing you all on live stream this year. I won't be able to make the trip this year, but before I go into talking about load in, I just want to remind you that you were given a letter last week, a congratulatory letter with your judges' information of where you need to send your scripts, as well as a short checklist of things that you should be doing. So those things on that letter from last week, please be sure you have already sent your scripts to the judges on your sheet. And then also just review that checklist for the things. Okay, so for next week, when you arrive, your load in, at the back of the theater there on Washington Avenue is where you'll enter for unloading your truck and trailer. So you'll pull into that small parking lot, and there will be a garage door that is open where you'll unload all your items onto the stage. During that load-in time, you will be asked to give your information. The contest manager will greet you, as well as the crew. We want you to, after you load in, we want your driver to go ahead and pull around to the other side of the building so that the next school, the parking lot is free for the next school to pull up. So unload. If you don't finish unloading in that 15 minutes, that is okay, but we will be starting your tech time on time. And so if you've got a lot of things that will still be trickling in, all your props and things, it is fine to take longer. Just know that your tech time will start on as scheduled. Okay, so during tech time, there's a rehearsal checklist on the website, and you will need to fill out that first page and answer the questions there. You will need to have that ready, as well as all your paperwork that will be given to the contest manager at the beginning of your rehearsal. Of course, you can hand it to them during your load-in time so that they have it to allow your full hour, but they will start tech time on time. So it helps to have all that paperwork in a binder, and if it's all in place, you can just hand your binder to the contest manager and they will look through it during your tech time and only bother you if they're missing something. So please be sure you understand what is necessary for performance, all your rights, and then licensing and proof of royalties, your music log, and all those things. And then also have a prepared script for your contest manager, just so that we have one on site. Your 1 hour, like I said, will start as scheduled. And part of that 1 hour, you will have to strike to your 10 by 10. So they will be giving you countdowns during the tech time. They'll ask you if you want time called every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or they'll organize that at the beginning of tech. But your part of your tech time is that the stage is clear and everything's in your 10 by 10 before they stop the rehearsal 1 hour. So you have exactly 1 hour of tech time, and then you'll be asked to exit out the backstage door as you are led into your ready area. Spike tape will be provided. The sound and light and backstage crew will be there to train your kids on how to use the equipment. Those documents are in your shared drive that has the magic sheet and the ground plan, and Nick even made a video on one of those documents. There's a link to a video where he kind of gives you a little tour of some of the equipment. So please be sure you view the magic sheet, tech packet, ground plan, and everything that's in that shared folder prior to your tech time. Even allow your students to look at it, your tech crew, so that they fully understand what's available. During that tech time, you will be responsible for full disclosure of all your props and your lighting. And then you will also be asked to run your opening and closing scene. So be sure to mentally prepare for those things, because the contest manager will be hollering at you if you still have, if you have 15 minutes to go and she has not seen your opening and closing scene. Mostly that is so that we could take notes as to when to start and stop time for the performance. For the performance rights in your tech time, you will be asked to show the rights to perform, as well as proof of payment for that license. So many of them will send you a license at the request when you first request it, but then you do need to show proof of payment. And that could be a school's canceled check, or the invoice showing paid from the publisher, just some sort of proof that you actually have paid for that license. This year, it is really exciting that we will be able to stream the shows on our TAPS TV network. It is a requirement for you to request the streaming rights for the show. For those performance rights, you do need to contact your publisher to secure that license. Some of them, it's a small fee, and some of them, it's as if you're performing live. And so be sure to make sure that you have acquired those licenses. We won't be able to stream your show if we do not have the rights for that. For props and lighting in the unit set, that also will need to be disclosed during tech time. They will ask to see any weapons. They'll ask you if you have any liquids, and the answer should be no. Liquids include things like hand sanitizer and hairspray bottles. So make sure you don't have any liquids anywhere near the stage. You are allowed to have hairspray and things in the dressing room, just not on the stage. So they will ask for revealing all props. Things like weapons will need to be approved. And so the contest manager will ask to see all those things. You'll be asked about your additional lighting, flashlights, lamps, any extra lighting sources or projectors. And then if you have a fog machine or anything like that, they will ask those questions and you will be expected to show them everything during that tech time. So please be prepared to have all that available. There are 10 by 10 boxes provided for each show at the back of the midline curtain. And so you will be assigned a box and all your props and set must fit into that 10 by 10. The unit set does not go into the 10 by 10. The full unit set will be provided. There's actually designated spots for each of the set pieces marked on the side of the stage where specific pylons go in specific sections. So it is important that your students pay attention to, from where they got the unit set pieces and where they return the unit set pieces. You should not bring your own unit set pieces, and you are only to use the ones that are provided at the event. We will be disinfecting like the door handles and things like that that are used in between the shows. For the ready rooms, you will be assigned a ready room after each of your at the end of your tech time. Amy from the CALO would be there to take you to your ready room. So as soon as tech is over, she'll escort you and to the side of the backstage, and she'll show you these are the dressing rooms that you'll be assigned one dressing room before your show and to use during your show. And then you'll go out that back door and she will take you to the ready rooms, which are all on site this year. We will not be using the church down the road. So you will have access to your ready room throughout the day as your own space to use. The only place that you may have food on the CALO campus is in your ready room. You must clean up all your trash and make sure that you leave those ready rooms as cleaner than it was when you got there. So be sure to not leave any food trash or makeup trash or anything left in those rooms. We are so fortunate to have the CALO hosting us and providing these rooms for us. And so please be a blessing to them as well as good stewards and make sure that you are cleaning up your space. This year, yes.
Vina, before we go forward, let's take a quick stop here and grab a couple of questions. So one of the questions was, if our publisher doesn't give us permission to stream the show, what do we do? You'll still perform at the CALO Theater just like you're going to in Thiel. The only situation is it'll be a black screen on the TAPS TV network while you're performing. So the folks back home can't see it, or others that you would desire to see it will not be able to see your show live streamed, but you will be performing at the CALO. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that I had that correct. And then we had a question, we're having difficulty getting our scripts forwarded to us in time. Can we have an advance to send a paper copy of the script instead of the book form to the judges? What is your feeling on that?
That is okay. We do want to make sure that they have all the headings marked on it. And then if that's okay. So anything that they can have in advance is better than them showing up and reading your script the day of the show. So
and
please.
The bigger key there is to make sure you've paid your royalties, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's an easy fix. And then there was a question, we have a door part of the unit set, but we have a light attached to it. I planned on bringing that. We don't add any additional unit set pieces. Is that correct, or is that allowed?
Correct. They're allowed to, they can't permanently attach a light to our door, but they may use clamps or Velcro or a door hook or something to attach their light to our unit set pieces that are provided.
So they're not allowed to bring their own door. They have to use the unit set door provided, correct?
Correct.
Okay. One last thing, and we'll hit the tickets real quick. Everybody is going to have to purchase a ticket through the Hometown Ticketing app. So if they don't have it when they get there, we'll sure walk you through how to download it and how to purchase it on site, but we will not be having a cash gate or any other kind of gate. We will simply be redeeming the tickets. We're going to talk about it a little bit farther down the road here, but that has to do with our COVID protocol. and Robert will get into why we're doing that and why hometown ticketing is that option. So sorry to interrupt you there, Vina. I just kind of wanted to get those questions out of the way while they were forth on my mind.
And we've had 3 events so far, and the hometown ticketing has been a very easy process, and it's just a little bit of patience, you get through it, and it's fast.
So bringing up kind of, also, we were talking about the food in the ready room. There will be no concessions in the theater this year, no sales of water or even snacks as they have provided in the past. There is no food or drinks allowed in the theater, and so you need to leave everything in your ready room. So at 1 o'clock on your performance day will be our directors meeting with the judges. It will be in the upstairs room. If you go up the stairs or take the elevator, it will be to the right once you get upstairs. This year, we're asking only 1 director per school to attend this directors meeting, as the space is small, and we want to make sure that we have adequate spacing for our judges and yourselves. You will be required to have a mask on when you attend this judges meetings. During this meeting, you'll need to be prepared to give any concerns to the judges, such as if you have a student with a stutter or something that's not part of their act and it's actually just part of the student, or if they have a cast on their arm where it's not part of costume, they really do have a broken arm. Those types of things you would need to disclose in the judges meeting, and then also be prepared to let all know if you have any alternate replacements. That way we can make sure that throughout the awards selection process, they have the correct students that they are looking at. For the performance, after the judges meeting, we'll start performances at 2 o'clock. The performance lineup, basically you will, Amy will bring you from your ready room to backstage, where you will be allowed to start putting things in the dressing room, and then we'll start your setup performance. Then we'll take a cast and crew photo. You'll do your strike. You'll have a clinic at the front of the theater. You'll be asked to clear your dressing room and return to your ready room or the theater seating. So let's just kind of go through those things right now. For setup, you're given 7 minutes max. During the setup, it's only your cast and crew, and your alternates may not help during the performance time, any time now. So they will need to just, when your school comes in, they will need to just go sit in the audience, your alternates. Your directors may help during the setup. Your crew during the setup may go back to the tech booth and start preparing for their show, getting all the tech stuff ready. Performance is 40 minutes. Just after your setup, there'll be an announcement where the contest manager will give the announcement to the show. They'll say, thanks for coming, turn off your cell phones and things like that. And at that time, you as a director will need to go take your seat in the audience, and then the show will start. You are allowed 40 minutes max. The Callow Theater, after the contest manager is in their seats and the directors are seated, the Callow tech crew will bring the house lights down, and they will verbally tell your tech crew, you now have control of the show. And at that point, they will take the house lights down, they will take the stage lights down to a blackout, and then they will hand the show over to your tech crew, sound and lights. Performance time starts with the first light or sound, and then performance ends with the last light or sound. So be prepared to make sure that there's no light or sound happening for that timer to stop at the end of those 40 minutes. There are no grace periods for time in setup, strike, or performance, so it's important that your tech crew knows exactly what protocol should be should they reach 39 minutes and 50 seconds, so that everyone knows what's going to happen if you are running really close to the time limit. Rhonda, can you talk a little bit about the photo?
Okay. Right after your performance is done, the full company is going to come back to the stage for their photo. These are usually really good when the set is still there. So maybe have your pose ahead of time and have them go just directly to their spot right after the house lights are back up, and then we will take their photo, and then they'll be able to leave the stage from there.
Thank you, Rhonda. Right after the photo, the contest manager will bring all your students to the side, and she'll remind you about the strike. They'll say you have 7 minutes to clear the stage. If you are leaving right after your show, I know a couple of you said you're not allowed to stay later, and so you have to leave immediately. If you're leaving right after your show, you are going to strike to the side closest to the outdoor. And then if you are staying, you will strike to your 10 by 10 behind the midline. The unit set does have to be back in their designated spots, and curtains, if you use the curtain to close the curtain or to have it slightly open, all curtains need to be back in their ready position. So be sure if you are using the curtains in any way that your tech crew in the back, your stage crew, talks to the Callow stage crew to understand what that means during the tech time. Crew must be out of the tech booth and on the stage in order for the strike time to stop. So they also have to clear everything out of the tech booth. After your critique, for those of you that need to load out right away, after your critique, the door will open for a quick loadout, and it really is get everything out the door and we close the door, and then you could take your time loading into your trailer after the door is closed. One thing that is really awesome for a lot of our events is the opportunity to have a clinic with the judge. This time is not a time for them to nitpick every little thing about your show. That's what the written comments are for. But this is a time for encouraging initial thoughts of the judge, to just tell you at first thought what they thought of your show. This is meant to be an encouraging time. And it does not necessarily have anything to do with your ranking or positioning of where you are ranked with them amongst the other shows. It is simply a time for the judge to interact with you and your students and to give them encouragement about what was just seen on stage. The judge is selected at random, and they are not told which shows they are critiquing in advance. So just while you're striking, the contest manager will tap one of the judges on the shoulder and say, "This is your show." So that means all the judges are critiquing your show through while you're performing. They are watching and taking notes, and they have no idea if they will be chosen to give your clinic or not. And so they are all very much attentive during your show, and then they will give that clinic right after your strike. So the clinic, after you strike, your students will be asked to come to the first few rows of the theater, and the judge will go up to the front to give that clinic. After the clinic, you'll be asked to leave by the via backstage. So you'll be taken past the dressing room and escorted out that back door. It is important that you clear that dressing room immediately, as we are not allowing more than one show to be backstage at a time. And so you will need to make sure that it's all cleared out, and then so that we could bring the next school in. For loadout, at the end of the day, we will be doing loadout, just the last show that performed will load out first, because they're already up there by doing their clinic. So they'll be asked to go ahead and load out, and then the order closest box to the door will go next. So box 1, and then 2, and then 3. We are only allowing one school on the stage at a time, and so as soon as that school has pulled out of the parking lot, we will ask the next school to pull into the parking lot. Now, like we said, some of the schools are not able to stay and watch other shows, so your loadout will be right after your show. And like I said, it is very important that when you open that door, everything just gets put out into the parking lot, and that door will close so that we continue on with our schedule.
Vina, as we're talking about loadout, I'll go back to load in, since I've had to back the trailer and back the truck up in the alley that comes off of Washington. It is a tight space. You definitely want to make sure whoever's driving your materials in and out has that ability. On loadout, it's going to have to be a sequential opportunity. Once your stuff's out there and get it in, we'll help you coordinate that opportunity for sure. So load in and load out, it's a great space. It's great opportunity to get it in. You'll have no problems doing that. I'm just simply speaking from experience when I say back in that trailer down that little bitty alley, it's good to know what you're doing, not be the first time you've ever backed a trailer. We did have another question or two, Veen. I want to hit them before we move on. Are students and directors able to watch both days of performance or only the days that they are performing on site?
The students, we are asking that students not watch the shows unless it's their day of performance. However, the directors may come and watch. We just don't know that we have the facility seating for additional shows other than the 4 shows that are present.
So to help restate that, we would prefer that no one from day 2, director or student, would be there day 2. Day 1 should not be at day 2. Day 2 should not be at day 1, to give all of the fans and spectators that have that desire can make it to be there. We would allow directors, but then they will be actually going and signing a secondary COVID protocol form. So we'll just remember that we have that as we go on forward. And then I had a quick question that was talking about the cabling for the sound system. The Callow's been very good host over the years, Nick and his crew. They should have most cables you need, but you need to be prepared as well. Whatever you think you might need, bring that cabling with you and just to be prepared. And you'll know that during your tech day if something extra is necessary. Does that sound right, Dina?
Yes, and on one of the documents, Nick does give his contact information. So if you have any questions specifically about the sound or lights or anything at the theater specific, they can help you with those questions. They have asked that if you have specific questions about any TAPS protocols or props or anything like that, that you be sure to send those to us, because they will not answer those types of questions. They will only answer the technical questions about the sound and light equipment.
We know how big a part the sound and lighting are, and it's just so great to be able to go back to the Callow and to go back to the Playhouse to 2020, 2000 crew that just really want to help our students succeed. So they are there to help us. Limit your questions if you can to the technical side that they can assist you with ahead of time. I will tell you, if you have not been there, your students are in really good hands when they go up to the light and sound booth. Those guys and gals are going to do their very best to help them be successful. Was there any other question there, Robert, or are we good to keep going on?
I think we're good for now. We'll catch some of these questions about protocols when I get to that in just a second.
Your awards as we move forward, the awards are pretty much the same as what you saw at the district level. The top 4 schools will be placed 4, 3, 2, 1. We will do the all-star and honorable mention cast, the all-star crew, best actor, best actress. Those will all still receive their same awards. It's going to be different. This is 2020. We're on 2 different days, so awards will not be presented at the time of your presentation on the day of your presentation. That awards program will be November the 19th. We will get the details. We will get you the logins. We will get you how to get there. November 19th, it's on that day is when we will do the awards. I know it's hard to wait. You know it's hard to wait. We will have your critiques to the best of our ability to you by then, but we will do all 3 awards presentations on the same day, and that date is November the 19th. So we're going to kick it over. COVID has kind of got that situation changed from years past. And Robert, let's talk a little bit about the COVID protocols and answer whatever questions we can that relate to those.
All right, thank you, Brian. Will, if you would, drop to that next slide. Those are instructions on how you find our basic TAPS protocols on the TAPS website. And Will, if you jump over to the website while I'm talking here, if you go to the main TAPS website, taps.biz, up in the right-hand corner, you'll see that little tab that says resources. One of those drop downs there, about the second one down, says COVID information. If you click on that, it will take you to a page, and on the left-hand side of that page, there's a red button that says 2020 Return to Action Protocols. If you click on that, that will take you to about an 18-page document, and in that document, those are our protocols that we've had in place for all of our fall activities, all of our fine arts, all of our athletics, and Will, you can jump back to the PowerPoint. That's where that is located. That has all our basic protocols for our activities that we're hosting, and then also for our spectators. If we look at, let's talk about audience. Let's go to that one right quick, Will. Audience will be allowed in schools. If you are there because you are waiting to perform later, you've already performed and you're watching the other schools, you will have a designated section. Each school will have a designated section to sit in. So please honor that. You'll be directed to that. And that'll be available for you. We don't anticipate having any capacity issues, so spectators are allowed. We encourage them to come. Like was mentioned earlier, they will need to purchase their ticket. Our virtual and digital ticketing partner, Hometown Ticketing, has that available. You'll have the information on all of that when you receive that fan email later today. So all that information is out there that will be available. So all spectators, all audience coming in, other than those who performing, they will have to purchase that ticket. You can do it on site there. It's very easy. It's quickly done, but they can do that ahead of time or on site. The doors to the lobby will open at 12:50 each day. The lobby is closed for hanging out. That's not allowed in the world we live in now. Certainly when we're doing inside facilities, we don't want people gathering and hanging around. We're going to be moving in and moving out. That is the reason we've split the schedule up the way we have this year. That allows us to get 4 schools in, do their tech, then do their performance, and then we need them to move on, get our next group in the next day so that we can limit the number of people. We're blessed to be there at the Calo. It's a great facility. It's very beautiful. It's big enough for what we're doing, the way we're doing it with our schedule this year. So we're asking everybody to honor that and to do that as well. Team IP will be there. They'll have their sales for all their apparel set up in the lobby, and that will be available each afternoon. Your school may watch other schools' performances. We do have one request though, and that is if you had heavy makeup as a part of your performance, that is not allowed in the actual theater. That's not allowed in the audience area. The Calo does not allow that. Other than that, you can still be in costume, and you can, if time allows, and you've finished yours, you can certainly join in the audience and watch the other schools perform. We do have a couple of specific questions about face mask, and I want to cover that. That face masks are covered in our basic protocols, but I want to hit a couple of these questions. All the audience will be required to have face masks the entire time. So anything related to an audience question about face mask, that will be required. With regard to your school, okay, Brian, address that with us just a little bit.
When you're in your ready room, that will be up to you as to follow your school protocols. You are in close proximity to each other. You've been on the same bus, the same van. So when you're in your ready room, your school protocols should take place. Backstage and in the audience, if your school is sitting there, also will be treated as an audience. So students and directors should have masks on at all times inside. While the students are performing, TAPS does not require mask. However, if your school requires mask, we will certainly honor that opportunity for you to be in compliance. So I think the biggest situation is plan on wearing the mask unless you're performing, and then everybody can take a deep breath for Rhonda's picture. We'll make sure we get that done. If you did have an alternate, they could run up on stage really quick to get into that picture as well, or come from backstage. So again, I think the COVID protocols were when you're in your ready room and when you're off site, that's based on what your school says. Everybody that's in the inside the building, the auditorium, when they're not performing, should have a mask on.
Here's a question specifically related to that, Brian. If you're having masks backstage, where do we keep them? Where do we store them? In your 10 by 10 box area, you can have a prop table there that's available for you to keep other items like that. You certainly will be accommodated on those kind of issues.
It's going to be a little different. We had a question about strike tape, and I'll say in the past, we've always had the tape party at the end after all 4 or 8 shows have gone. You do not have to strike your tape during your strike time. If you're there at the end of the day and can help us wearing your mask and enjoying the opportunity to pick up tape off the floor, we would appreciate that as we go forward. Robert, I do want to have a quick situation here. What happens if between now and my day of performance, COVID invades my opportunity and I'm not able to attend? What do they need to do if that does occur?
Obviously, if you're faced with that unfortunate situation, and it did occur at some of our schools in preparation, for performing, and they maybe weren't able to perform this year or weren't able to perform at district even though they had prepared. If that happens between now and your performance at state, please let us know immediately. You can always reach out to us, info@taps.biz. Let us know if you have any situation with COVID with any of your students or any quarantine situation that may be going on at your school. Please let us know as soon as possible. Another thing that I forgot to mention in our protocols, directors, you need to know this: when you arrive on the day of your performance, okay, we have all of our audience purchasing tickets through Hometown Ticketing. We have a digital record of all the people who are there when we do it that way. We also will have you sign an affirmation, and we're requiring that for all of our games that are being played, for any events that we're hosting. Whoever the coach or the director is of that group, and in this case, it's you directors and it's your cast and your crew. Anybody coming, director, assistant director, all of your cast, all of your crew, anybody with your group coming on the day of your performance, you will sign a sheet. We'll have it there for you. It's our COVID affirmation, and you'll be affirming that you and all of the people representing your school do not have COVID, you do not have the symptoms, and you have not recently been in close contact with anybody who does. That's been our standard protocol all year for all of our events. And so we'll ask you to help us to honor that. Make sure everybody is well. And if they're not, certainly we need you to handle that at your level. Brian?
I think the biggest situation here, if you slipped up and didn't get your assistant directors or program folks into rank 1, especially on the adult side, make sure that you have assistant directors in rank 1, because that is where the protocol begins, and that is who you are certifying as part of that. If you have folks show up and they want to use a TAPS pass, we'll have the old will call sheet where they will use the old-fashioned pen and paper method of writing their name and their email address so that we can COVID trace. But TAPS passes will be accepted as we go forward. As a reminder, the lobby is closed for hanging out, so that means your school can be in the auditorium. They can be off-site. If they're on-site and they're not in the auditorium, they need to be in their ready room, not in the lobby. The bathrooms are obviously in the lobby, and Team IP will be in the lobby. So starting after lunch at 1 p.m. or so, Team IP will be on site with t-shirt sales, etc. And we will also have a follow-up link digitally that we will send out in case you want to buy it before or afterwards. So the restrooms are available. They are in the lobby. And then what we don't want is congregating. Again, if you're going to congregate on site, congregate socially distanced. If you're in your ready room, you're socially distanced. If you're outside, socially distanced. So again, I think we're going to do our very best. We're going to try everything we can do to make this possible. It goes without saying that COVID is a strange moving target. If our host has additional rules or has things change between now and then, everything that we're speaking right now has to do with the known facts. So if something changes between now and your performance, we'll shoot you an email. We'll post it up on the One Act Play page, and we'll also shoot out if it has to do with fans through the TAPS app. We'll also do some things there. So again, I think the biggest thing is if you're performing during your performance, you do not have to wear a mask unless your school requires that. Every other time, plan on having your mask on when you're inside the door and outside when you're not socially distanced on the Callow Theater grounds. Vina, anything else you'd like to add, and any other questions that you've seen that we need to answer? Robert, do you have questions?
There was one question about putting things in their 10 by 10 during the show, such as their mask. Your 10 by 10 does not have to be empty during your setup, or, I mean, there are plenty of times where some people will put their costume rack in their 10 by 10 so that they can have a space. So your prop table can be in your 10 by 10, or it can be to the side of the stage. And so just for strike, everything just has to be back into the 10 by 10.
Vina, we've got Rosalind Houghton going to be our contest director for most of the days. We will have additional contest director for a couple. During that tech time when they're there, that is the perfect opportunity to ask our contest director any specific question as far as the facility and as far as the contest. Is that correct?
Yes. So during your tech time is the time to make sure you understand where everything needs to be, where everyone needs to be, during the rest of your visit at the theater.
we surely understand your desire as a director to get out in the audience and look at whatever, but if you've got those specific questions, or if something as you see as you walk out, please make sure you ask those. That's why we're there. Vina, I wanted to hit on the fact of not bringing additional props later. We said all props used in the show need to be there, need to be in your 10 by 10 at the end of tech. Can you give us just a brief, the way I remember it is, we don't want you bringing something that might be illegal to use on the performance time when it wasn't there at your tech time. Am I remembering that correctly, or is there a
That's
different
correct.
reason?
That's correct. But then some people don't feel safe leaving, like they might need, we don't make you leave your laptop in your 10 by 10 that will be used for your sound and things like that. So anything that you don't feel comfortable leaving in your 10 by 10, or if there's costumes that you might need to do some mending or something overnight, you don't have to have everything in your 10 by 10. We do ask that we see everything that you will be using during your tech time. There have been some times where schools have said, here's, here, I mean, we're not asking to see every single, just a book that you're sticking out there, but mostly we're looking for anything that could be questionable, like use of medicines, or any kind of lighting equipment or weapons and things like that. So what we don't like is when we show up to the performance and all of a sudden we see 6 flashlights turn on and we're like, we did not see that during tech, and if so, we would have been able to help you make sure you are within the rules of additional lighting. And so things like that, we don't like to have surprises in the middle of the show thinking we did not see that, and now that's a potential DQ opportunity. And so we want to make sure that we are helping you during tech time, so that we can catch anything that might be questionable ahead of time.
I think the way I look at it is tech time is an opportunity to help you be in compliance with all rules, having been there and done it in the past. We definitely don't, the disqualification or the reduction in rank, et cetera, those are the hardest things that anybody can do. You definitely don't want to do it after a 40-minute show. So if you have questions or if you have concerns, I will tell you the liquids is a problem. So please make sure that you don't have liquids on stage. That becomes a problem each year. And we don't want that. You've been through it at the district level. Now you're moving on to state. Robert, do we have any final questions that we need to answer?
We have one here, Vina. What are the rules for additional lighting?
You have to read on my side, you got to read the manual.
You do need to read the manual, but you're allowed 4 additional lights. It does not include prop lighting such as a flashlight or a lamp. The only time that flashlights and lamps, or even tea light candle, battery operated candles, no open flames, the only time that those small prop lighting counts towards your additional 4 lighting is if they are ever the only sole source of lighting on the stage. So if you have some tea light battery operated candles that you are trying to set a mood, they count as individual lights unless there is stage lighting also on. So you can have like a low amber wash if it's like indoors kind of thing, or blue if it's an outdoor setting, just something that there's a low wash on the stage where the theater lighting is the main light source. Therefore, the flashlight is just a prop light. And so if it's a prop light, it does not count towards your additional lighting. However, if you were to go to a blackout and your flashlight was still on, that single flashlight now counts as one of your 4 lighting sources, because it was used as the sole source of lighting and created an atmosphere of lighting with that one flashlight.
So Vina, let me ask you a quick question. Has that rule changed between district and the state championships, or is that the same rule we had in the book before we started last month?
It has been the same rule for several years. It definitely is just one that people get confused about.
I agree there. I'm just where I was going to try to direct everybody back is the manual, and we haven't changed anything this year from your district contest to your state contest. So go back and look. And again, when you show up at tech time, great time to ask those questions. You agree with that, Vina, that if you have those questions specific, they could do it at their tech time and then have that opportunity to make corrections ahead of time.
Correct.
Anything else, Robert, on the questions? Vina, I'm going to kick it off on my end and just say thank you all for being here. We look forward to the championships. I hope you're able to get with your publisher, get the digital rights so that we can send it up on TAPS TV so the folks back at your school, the moms, dads, grandmas, aunts, uncles, and those other places can watch while you're performing. Again, we will be sending out additional information on that, and we appreciate everything you've done, all that your students have done to get you to this point, and we hope you have a great week and a half of performances. John?
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody in the office, and thank you, folks, for being with us today. That's it for us. You're going to get an email to the same address that you used to register for this webinar that will have a link to this recording that should come out later this afternoon. It's also going to be available on our YouTube page that is youtube.com/tapsbiz. So if you know somebody who missed today's presentation, you can send that link on to them. If you have any questions or if we didn't get to your question, please send us an email or call us at the office. And you folks enjoy the rest of your day.